Ladies and gents, welcome to Next Level Radio. I am your host, Colby Wortman, and our mission is to tackle the biggest questions in strength and conditioning, business, investing, and everything in between. We bring to you the best people in every sector so that you, the listener, can benefit and learn from the best in the biz. Whether that is S&C or business, you can rest assured you're getting the best knowledge available. The best tech and training, the best software, and the best people in the game. TeamBuildr is the one way to elevate your coaching and training game. Having used TeamBuildr for almost a decade, I can confidently say TeamBuildr is one of the best options for coaches or fitness enthusiasts. Go to teambuildr.com and use code NLT at checkout for a discount, and we thank TeamBuildr for being a premium sponsor of Next Level Radio. All right, folks, let's talk about the big 30, 30 years old. You know when your warranty starts to expire and you realize your body's check engine light is on more than your car's? That's when I decided to pop the hood on my health because as a hybrid athlete and a father, I've got more miles on me than a secondhand scooter. I've gone from back pain so bad I couldn't sneeze without yelping to running marathons like I'm being chased by a swarm of bees. And who do you think I have to thank? The doctors and wizards at Dakota Stem Cell Institute. They're like the pit crew for your spine nestled in the heart of Rapid City, South Dakota. So if you're tired of feeling like an antique sofa every time you bend over, give Dr. Pierce a ring at 605-342-8348. Tell him you want the Next Level Radio tune-up. Trust me, it's the best call you'll ever make. Having trained athletes for many, many years, we have tried every treadmill known to man. You name it, we've tried it. With these treadmills, there's always been a disconnect, something missing for our athletic performance, something that just does not correlate to athletic success on the field until we tried our TrueForm runners. TrueForm for over 10 years has been elevating the performance of pro athletes, college athletes, recreational runners, and everyday athletes alike. You can check out TrueForm treadmills at trueformrunner.com, and we thank TrueForm for being an exclusive sponsor of Next Level Radio. Ladies and gents, welcome to Next Level Radio episode 1. We have a very special guest today, and it's been something that secretly I have thought about for a long time. And you come to the point of being in business for a long time, you just shoot your fucking shot and see if you can do it, and that's where it's at. So today, in the ultra world, in the running world, in hybrid athletics, a well-known individual, Matt Johnson, we have today, and it's a pleasure, brother. It was good to just get to shoot the shit with you on before we hit record. So if you just want to give your quick little spiel, brother, and we can go from there.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. I don't know if I have much of a spiel. I try to let all of my work do the talking. Military for about 9 years. I was married. Got into a divorce and out of the military at the same time at the beginning of 2020. And at that point, I had a pivotal choice to make in my life. And that was either, be the person that stays in the same situation because I'm comfortable, or to uproot everything and go after what I wanted. And at that time, I chose to move to Austin. Left Des Moines, Iowa with $3,000 in my bank account and absolutely nowhere to go, and set a plan A and plan A only. And by the grace of God, I am here. I'm doing well. I'm very blessed to be a person that was put in that situation. And I can truly say that, I made the best of it, and this is only beginning.
Yeah, man, that's huge. And we'll get into it here in a little while, but a lot of different factors and a lot of different situations and experiences led you to where that was. And it's just this big puzzle piece that we're not aware of. That's super cool to see where it puts you 5, 10, 15 years down the road. For me personally, it was college football or the military or the Marine Corps specifically. And so I resonate with that quite a bit. Full families, military, all that, but I ended up playing college ball. The thing that I resonated, Matt, a lot, I came from small town Wyoming, you coming from small town Iowa. Those roots are deep. That corn fed, as Nathan French would say, is pretty deep. And I think it teaches you a lot, dude. I think it teaches you a ton. It's the crab in the bucket analogy. The people that know that they are destined for more will rise to the top at some point. They'll get pulled down, but speak to that a little bit, your experience in small town Iowa and how that got you to where you're at.
Yeah, the number one thing that really just popped in my head here is coming down to Austin, and within about moved in with a roommate. Within about probably a week, he had to change his oil, and I was like, I told him, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get it done, and I'm like, why? Like, why are you gonna go? Why don't you just change it yourself? And he's like, I don't know how to do that, and I'm like, you don't know how to change your oil? And he's like, no. I'm like, what about a tire? He's like, no. I'm like, you don't know how to change a tire? I'm like, what about like putting antifreeze in the car? And I know I'm relating this to like cars, but like I think coming from a small town, like you learn all of these small things, that lead to a bigger picture, like learning how to do all of these things. And I think that, a lot of people get caught up in staying in these places, in these small towns, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I wish that they knew the amount of valuable information that you just learn growing up in these tiny little towns where you're 20 minutes from the nearest Walmart, to where, growing up in Melcher, Dallas, Iowa, like if you wanted to go get an oil change, you'd have to drive anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to go get an oil change. So
Yeah.
that's why you learned how to change your own oil. To go to the tire shop, you have to do the same. That's why you learn how to change your own tire. And, having that Midwest backbone of, the blue collar made, you learn all of these things, and take that to the city life, and it's just it's crazy. So
Definitely.
that was a big thing for me, moving down here and learning that. But also, I grew up in the South. I was born in Melcher, Dallas, but I spent about 8 years living in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where the University of Arkansas is,
Mhm.
and then moved back to Iowa for about 2 years, and then I graduated and moved to Des Moines, which is the capital. But growing up in the South, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir, learning the proper manners, and how the South worked. And, life's a little bit differently in the South. And, then taking that back to small town Iowa and applying that to small town Iowa, and kind of being, I was looked at as different when we moved back because, I mean, I was different. I had just spent about 7 years in the South. And then, going into the military and then learning another thing I didn't realize, like there's people out here that have no idea that, you have to change the lint trap in the laundry, the
Yeah.
drying machine. And it really, there's so many things where I'm seeing like adult friends don't know how to do, and I'm like, day one in the military, like I was taught how to do that, or my mom showed me how to do that, or like something like that. So just like, being very grateful for all the things I went through, and learning these tiny things that add up.
Yeah, man. It's no secret that a lot of that lends to the lifestyle of the military, and even more so the lifestyle of just running as a whole. Um, Being able to do the things that you need to do and learning them along the way. A lot of people, I was surprised with this, and a lot of people, I think, my community of business owners, strength coaches, X, Y, and Z. Something that I was super surprised with, Matt, is your running. I mean, military PT stuff, but your running career really didn't take off until 20, correct?
Yeah. So like I mean, 2020 is when I truly like laced up my shoes for the first time. 2020, I went on recruiting orders to Virginia, and that was where like I took it a little more seriously, because we were in Roanoke, which was so rural that like, and we're right in the mountains. So like, I took lacing up my shoes at the end of 2020 into like, hey, I want to be a runner. But then we got to Roanoke, Virginia, and I'm like, holy shit, this is such a sick place. So I just started randomly like hammering out like 50 to 70 mile weeks on the trails.
Damn.
And then I truly didn't do my first race until January of 2022, when I ran the first BPN marathon.
Mm.
So truly, like I've only been racing for 2 years.
What was your outside of the military? What was your previous athletic background?
Like I said, granted, like I played all the sports like growing up as a kid, down in the South, and in Arkansas. Like I played football and all of that. But then I got to junior high, and that was where, everyone started really becoming better, because, we are in the South, and football and all of the sports are very important. And I had a class that my class in Arkansas won the state championship in almost every single sport, after I moved away for like the next 3 years. And so I was playing with guys that later on like went to play for the University of Arkansas, later on went to play in the NFL. And so I didn't play in junior high. I didn't play in my first year of high school or my sophomore year of high school. But getting into my junior year, going back to Arkansas or going back to Iowa is when I started playing basketball and baseball. So really like not a lot of athleticism. I just did it because we were in a small town. And if you didn't play sports, you were a lame.
Yeah.
But I did not go out for track because I hated running so much that I went out for golf instead of track.
Interesting.
So yeah, not really not an athletic background at all. I just did it because it was cool.
And that's a big thing with running too. You see both sides of the spectrum. I was a All-American college football outside linebacker and built for 40 yards in a sandwich. And then starts to get into the running side, So my mother did the same thing. She was a IFBB pro bodybuilder, dove into head first into running. And it's the spectrum. You see athletes, non-athletes get into it. And that's the beautiful thing is anybody can do it that has the willpower and has the purpose to actually go for it.
Yes. I have no athletes in my family. No one's
really.
No one's an athlete. And that's the thing. Like you see these people like you that are like, my mom was a pro bodybuilder. Now I'm a runner. And, or, oh yeah, my dad played NFL football and now I play, MLB baseball. Everyone's like, oh, like that's genetic. Like it's definitely genetic. I don't believe that any of it, like I will fight that until the day I die. I mean, like my mom when I was younger, my mom growing up, not now, but she was overweight. My uncle was overweight. I mean, it's like I have no genetics. What I do is what I fucking work for.
Mm-hmm.
And
does it predispose you to some of those behaviors? Yes, but in the end, it's your choice.
mm-hmm.
It's your choice to get the work done or not, which is super interesting. I want to really get to that childhood. That's like the main thing for me today. But since you touched on it, I want to hear about the mindset, the experience, because a lot of people will not take that first plunge. About your first BPN marathon, like how the fuck did that go? Like what was the experience?
Yeah, so it was. Sorry, I can't figure out whether I want to sit up or sit back.
Me neither.
It was just keep so the BPN marathon. I had heard about it they had started posting about it in July of 2021, and I had found Nick Bare because when I was running these miles out in Virginia, I was not eating. Like I had no idea. I was getting sick, and so I literally got on Google and I Googled how to eat like an endurance athlete. And very first thing that popped up was Nick Bare. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
And so I started following BPN and like fell in love with the products and the process and all of that. And they announced that they're going to do a marathon. I'm like, dude, that'd be so sick. Somehow I got in. Like there was 200 tickets. It sold out in probably 10 seconds, and I got in. I have no clue how. And I didn't train. Like I didn't do anything. Got down to the BPN headquarters, checked in, went out to the marathon, and took off, started running with, I didn't really have a plan. I mean, actually I did have a plan. I wanted to go sub 3, but I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that people talked about it. And I started running with Natasha Vandermeer, who was Nick's triathlon coach. And I'm running and she's like, what's your plan today? And I was like, I'm going to go sub 3. She looks at her watch. She's running and she's like, if you're going to go sub 3, you cannot be with me. She's like, you need to be running a 6:50 pace. And I'm like, oh,
damn.
Okay. And then took off at a 6:50 pace. Long story short there, I crossed the finish line at 3. So I went sub 3 in my very first marathon by 8 seconds.
A lot of willpower.
And, and I was pretty beat up. I probably felt worse after that marathon than I feel right now after a 19-hour 100.
Yeah.
And I remember afterwards, Jeff Cunningham with Bat City Track Club comes up to me and he's like, where are you from? What's your name? Told him, and he's like, what'd you do to train for this? And I'm like, I just ran. And he's like, you didn't do any VO2 max work, any thresholds, any floats. And I must have just been dumb faced to him because he's like, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? And I was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're even saying.
Damn.
And he's like, get a hold of me, let's talk. long story short there, I went with Natasha and I wanted to go the Ironman route. And that's when I like hired my first coach, because I was like, pretty much like I found out, I was like, if I can go sub 3 on my own, like what can I do if I'm coached?
Yeah.
And that there, January of 2022, like that was the start of all of it.
Damn. You always see this process take hold of individuals that want to do big things. And not 90% of the time, I'm guessing what your answer is the answer that most people give. But going through the first marathon and then just asking yourself the question, what is possible? Was hundreds and soon to be 200s, was any of that even part of the plan, or it was just like, I'm showing up to do this?
No, like I had always told myself, like I had like a back injury in the military and had like really bad scoliosis, and I still have really bad scoliosis. But anyways, like 2018, 2019, like when I would dabble in like going to the gym and doing the bro workouts and like running on the treadmill, like my back would hurt. And I always remember being like, man, like I could never run a marathon. Like this is 2018, 2019. And granted, that just kind of left the brain, like I never remember like leading up to the BPM marathon and remembering that. But now I do, where I was like, just already counting myself out because I, had the scoliosis and had the back pain. And, the hundreds were never once in my mind. Like I had watched the documentary of Nick doing it in 2020, and I thought like that was super cool, but never did I ever think I'm going to do 100 until the day that the Leadville Foundation called me. And I didn't have enough time to really think about it.
You don't think about that answer.
Yeah. So, no, the 100-mile distance was never on my mind.
I appreciate that answer. So a couple of years back, and this happens to a lot of people, but I think this is the pivotal point that you've obviously gone through, and I had to go through this maturation process with myself. I ran my first half marathon a couple of years back in Bismarck, North Dakota. I'm up in North Dakota, originally from Wyoming. Well, I got to mile 12 and I was hurting bad. I had done a training program. However, I wasn't 100% honest with myself. I told myself, hey, I'm doing these miles, but did I hop off the treadmill and grab a drink for 30 seconds? I wasn't completely honest with myself, and it catches up. Well, I always have this goal. I'm trying to be the fittest dad on earth. And doing these big things. I have a 700-pound deadlift, X, Y, and Z. Well, I get to mile 12 and my hip flexor is almost torn and it's causing that low back pain. And in that moment, the first thing that started coming in my mind was, you'll never be able to run a marathon if this is how bad you're hurting. You'll never be able to. And I told myself, and people probably thought I was a crackhead, but as I'm going towards mile 13, I'm yelling out verbally, you can run a marathon, you can run a marathon, you can run a marathon. Because I knew if I didn't stomp that shit out, it was going to be my limiting belief going forward. And I think a lot of people don't do that, and they just start believing that internal dialogue. And I knew if I didn't do that, we wouldn't be here right now, because I knew it was a pivotal point. And I'm sure you've gone through that.
Yeah, for sure.
It was nuts, dude.
Yeah. Self-talk, man. That's definitely, it's very vital.
Yep. Multiple books that I've read just really term it as that internal dialogue, and it can be a very, very big double-edged sword. So a big thing here, man, where I resonated with Matt Johnson was chasing pain and chasing the unknown and chasing the uncomfortable, but you're chasing something because you're running away from something. And we obviously are honest with ourselves about. I want to hear your story first, and kind of what were these factors, these things that forged Matt Johnson to be Matt Johnson throughout the childhood that was a little bit rough.
Yeah. And, it's kind of, not really running, I have said that it's running from something, but leading into the more that I'm maturing, like I feel like I've really matured a lot in the ultra space in the last 8 months. But with that being said, I think that what it is not really running from something, but it's being able to understand that the pain that you've been through will never be able to even touch the pain that you're going to experience during the 100-mile distance or during the ultra distance. And it's like thinking back to all of those shitty things that, you go through growing up, or that, all of this shit that you've just been through, and you look at yourself now and you're like, I made it through that. What is a little bit of pain in my body going to do to me?
Yeah.
And, that's, me, growing up with a single mom who we had absolutely no money. There was times where I've said this on podcasts before, there was times where, my mom's watching me eat a 99-cent box of macaroni and she's in tears because we don't have another dollar to buy another one. And I had no idea at that point. And then, she got into a really bad marriage. We were all mentally and physically abused for years. And leading her into an addiction where she accidentally, you know, overdosed and almost died, because of the, shit world that she was put in, to, then coming back and watching her become, being able to be in that dark place where you don't even want to live, to, coming into a place now where she's flourishing and living her life and loving her life. So watching that and growing up around that shows me that, I've made it through that. She's made it through that. So no matter what physical pain I go through, it'll never touch the emotional pain that I've been through in my life. And I think that that's why, I'm going to be so good at this distance. That's why I'm going to be so good at this sport, is because of that. Like I've been through, in the military and all of that. Like I've been through so much shit. I've been through so many shit situations that I've came out of on top, that this distance ain't gonna touch me.
Yeah.
This now, will it beat me every now and then? Maybe, but it's not gonna stop me. I promise you that. And like I said, the pain that I go through during that race can never even touch the pain that I've been through in my life.
Yeah, it's minuscule, man. I've heard you talk about wanting in the future to be a father and doing those things, and it's revolutionary. I have a 15-month-old, a little over a year old, and that flipped the switch in me that I've never had. But personally for me, man, like, yes, we were a family full of athletes. My mom and IFBB pro. My dad played for the Oakland A's for a little while in the MLB. And then I'm just this college football player, never went to that big level. Well, I struggled in all of my family. You talked about your mom. I don't know if it's anywhere else in the family, but addiction, rampant.
Yeah.
Father, alcoholism, just down the list. Well,
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, my dad was never in the picture, but I know, my dad was in. My mom had me when she was 17. They were both high school kids, but after high school, he was into drugs and alcohol. He went to prison for drugs. So, and on top of that, I have a couple other family members that are alcoholics or recovering alcoholics, and who knows on my dad's side. So I know that the addiction runs absolutely just rampant through our family. And it's being able to, you know, granted, like I've never been an addict to, any type of substance, but I can definitely see it in the miles. So an
yeah,
addiction is an addiction. Like I'm definitely always chasing that high from running. And when I'm not running, I'm not having a great day. Like it's hard to be like mentally, because running for me now, like it's not really training, it's just what I do. It's daily life. And like
yeah.
not getting that run in the morning, like I'm a little bit more like mentally foggy throughout the day, a little bit more tired, so I can definitely see, how it can really correlate to being an actual addiction.
Oh, for sure, dude. And you bring up a good point. A lot of America as a whole, that it's weird when they step in the gym. For somebody like you and I, it's weird when we don't. It's weird when we don't physically exert ourselves, and that's a really good path to be down. But it can be that double-edged sword. For me, most time when you think about heroin addicts, and I'm not just saying this because it's me, but you don't envision how I look as a 10-year heroin addict. I struggled with opiates and heroin for just under 10 years. College football, if you're a decent athlete, they write you a script for whatever you want, man. And it was something that I really struggled with. But when I found out that the same habits that were keeping me in addiction could keep me on a different addiction lifestyle, I just flipped the script, dude. And two things happened. I threw it all to God and I flipped the script on the habits. And that's what people can't understand, that these prior experiences that Matt or Colby has will lead to something successful down the road. You just have to see it to fruition. And it was a life-changing experience. I never recommend anybody going down that path, but it's got me to be a business owner, a father, a husband, all this stuff that probably wouldn't have happened without it. And so it's super cool that you can see that, yeah, I am addicted to these miles, but it's better than the alternative, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it definitely shows you on your side as well as my side is like you get to make that choice. Like I have every single reason to not be where I am today.
Yeah.
And with everything that I went through, with a majority of my family having an addiction problem, all of that, and it's like I made the choice. I got to choose my addiction, and
Yeah.
you got to choose your addiction, and here we are.
Yes, sir. Something that I, again, resonated very hard with you was breaking the mold of addiction, or breaking the mold of your family. You had a single mom that worked her ass off. You had all these things, but you decided to be the athlete. You decided to do these things. And for me, I'm the first generation of somebody that has actually truly beat addiction. I'm on 9 years, so I can safely say that it's behind me. But talk about that. Talk about that experience a little bit of being the person that's going to break the family mold, because anything here on out after Matt is going to be a different individual.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just it's so cool to be able to see. And I mean, I saw the fact that both of my great grandparents lived in Melcher, Dallas, Iowa, which is like population 1,000. Like we didn't have stoplights. We had stoplights. My grandparents, they owned the first gas station. My great grandparents, they owned the first gas station in this town. And then that led to my grandmother, who also lived in that town for a majority of her life. And then that led to, you know, or they would leave town and they would move somewhere else, and they would move right back to that
Yeah.
small town. And then, my mother, same thing, right? Like we moved away, but then we would move right back. And my uncles lived there, my aunts lived there, my great aunts, my great uncles, like our entire family is in that small town. And for me, like, as I grew older, like I always knew that's why I wanted to join the military. Like number one, just to get the fuck out for a second. And because there was so much that was like right post my mom's divorce. And
Mhm.
then as she was getting better, I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here for a little bit. And then I got out, and I enjoyed it. Like I went to Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio. I went to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, and I got out and I came back, moved to Des Moines, was still like in that, in Iowa, moved to Virginia, loved Virginia, came back, and was still like, I was still there. And that's kind of what I think, propped me to move to Austin. Is I'm like, I think about people, like when you live somewhere, like just like what you said, like this will set generations moving forward. Like if I stay in Austin 3 generations from now, we're gonna have families in Austin
It's
that
crazy to think about, man.
that know Austin, and then they'll look back and see, talking about great grandfathers, if that's me, how he moved from small town Iowa to Austin, did XYZ, and then now we have 3 to 4 generations living in Austin, Texas. And it's like, oh yeah, our family's from Texas. Like,
It's crazy.
no, we're not. We're not from Texas. Like, yeah. So just giving the opportunity, I think, to break that mold and break away from the small town. Because granted, while I loved growing up in small town, and I'm so very grateful for everything that I learned and the people that I knew and all of that, I don't want my kids doing that. I don't know if I want my kids to grow up in Austin. I don't know if, I know I want to stay in Austin. My plan is to buy a house here in Austin, by the end of the year. But I don't know where I want my kids. I don't know about that yet. But I just know that Austin is home to me, and that it, and also creating that athletic, this is the place to be an athlete. This is a place to raise athletes. Like, there's so much more advanced technology here. There's so much more, like we said, in the South, the football, the baseball, like there's just so much more here. And I want my kids to not have to go through the things that I went through and then had to like make my own decision to just get out. Like, I think I want my children to be able to have access to that immediately when they want it, and
Yeah.
not have to go somewhere. So then maybe they're raised in Austin, and then if they want to move to Iowa because they think it's great, move to Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the opportunity is so much more vast, man.
Yeah, yes, and it's
In,
giving those opportunities for sure. Giving
oh,
those opportunities so you don't have to uproot to go find them.
yeah, you can teach them the small town stuff, the changing the tire, that kind of thing. Even for me in Wyoming, North Dakota, I've worked with both Run Labs and Ways to Well out of Austin. So like those opportunities are there, man, and it's really cool. I love Austin. I'm actually I don't know if you know them, but up I'll remember the Bee Cave Hills out in that area. I'm good friends with John Wellborn. He owns Power Athlete. They do NFL, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, that kind of stuff. And I'm a Power Athlete Block 1 coach. You get this big bitch when you finish it up. And I just love my time there, dude. The people are different. The people you surround yourself are different. They're not trying to get the best job at the sugar beet factory in your hometown. Like, they're thinking about bigger things, and
Yeah.
it really plays to who you surround yourself with. That's brought you to where you're at now. And for the future, man, I'm super fucking interested. And sometime if it ever works out, dog, I'll fly out to Austin. I would love to meet you in person, to just shoot the shit and surround myself with great people. But what does the future look like, both near and far, for you right now? What's on the docket after getting your GI distress done and not shitting your pants all the time?
Yeah, so there is a possibility. I can't speak much on it right now, but I have a possibility of something coming up to where I might have to leave for a month
Mm-hmm.
and go a little MIA for a while. So depending on that, but I am slotted right now for Leadman. So if that falls through, then the Leadman Challenge is there, which is the Leadville Marathon at the end of June, the Leadville 50 at the beginning of July, followed by the 100-mile bike, and then the Leadville 100 to finish it off 6 days later.
Damn.
So I'm slotted for that in June, July, August, and then taking September off, leading into the Run Across Texas to raise money for Valor Fit in October. And then I think I'm gonna probably retire for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out. I don't know what's next for 2025 or 2025.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what's next for 2025. The 850 miles across Texas is, I can't see much. I don't know why I'm doing that, really. I can't see much past that right now. Because I was looking at the 200 distance, at the 250 distance, and I don't really know. The biggest thing right now is running across Texas, raise as much money as we can for Valor Fit. Valor Fit's amazing. Have you heard of them?
I just through you. So
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
viewers.
Yeah, they're amazing, man. Troy Peterson, based out of Des Moines, where I lived,
Oh shit.
started this 501c nonprofit to literally what they do is bring veterans to the fitness space.
Damn.
And what is better than that in what we do?
Mm-hmm.
And being a veteran myself, and then being in fitness, I'm like fitness changed my life, and I'm like, what can I do to get the most bang for Valor Fit that I can physically imagine? And it was formulating this Run Across Texas idea. And so yeah, that's
Hell
what's
yeah.
next for here. And
Break down break down the process of the Run Across Texas. How it's a relay. How are you guys breaking all that down? When is it?
yeah, so it's just singular. It's just me. So
Oh
I'm gonna be
fuck!
doing.
I was
Yeah,
under
so
the impression.
yeah, so it's not a relay. This is just me. We're gonna have me and a crew, and we're gonna start in El Paso on the west side of Texas. We're gonna run east. We said we were gonna finish in Galveston, but it's actually not gonna be in Galveston because we've now figured out that there's a farther east point.
Mm.
We want to leave no doubt of you didn't technically run across Texas, so we're gonna change that up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, right now I think the goal, I haven't set a goal on how many days, but looking at the route and the plans, like I'm thinking 12 hours on, 12 hours off, which is, if you're running 12 hours, that's at a 14-minute pace, that's 50 miles a day. So, I mean, it really just, I'm not sure yet. And, right now we just announced it. We have looked at the route. We've gathered, who's going to be part of the crew. And then, we're getting the brand deck together to get sent out to, to all the companies that are going to support us. I'm not going to make a single dime doing this at all. So what we're doing is all of the money that we raise from brands that want to be involved in this, $1,000 to make it from one side to the other, and we raise, 50,000. That 20,000 is going to be a straight donation to ValorFit. On top of already having a open fundraiser for them. So we're going to have an open fundraiser, but we are making it a thing and saying that this is zero profit. So whatever it costs us to go across Texas, whatever we have left is also going directly back to ValorFit. My goal is to make the biggest donation that they've ever received, to try to change as many lives as we can. So doing we're doing a YouTube lead up. We're doing a YouTube documentary on it. I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Hell yeah, dude. The logistics behind that, most people don't understand. And so I was the strength coach for this latest Jake Paul fight. I got to go be ringside. I was in the corner for it. The logistics leading up to that are astronomical, and there's profit there. They're trying to make money. It's super, it tells about your character for what you're doing for that. I applaud you for that. And I think that's awesome. On my end, I know you have the opportunities and you have a lot of the connections. Right when you said that, I have four to five companies that I think would sponsor that. So you and I, after this, I can throw you some contact information. 2 of them are in Austin, and then a couple countrywide. So I'll throw you some contact. Let's stay in touch, brother. Because whatever we can do, let's do it. I'd love to support it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you come out as well and hammer some miles with me. Yeah, but the logistics, man, like that's the thing. Like people, people and even companies don't really understand like how much this is going to cost just to make it happen. And you're talking about, especially like really the cost is you're talking about fuel for a couple of vehicles, an RV, getting an RV, getting a generator, fueling a generator. Having people that are out there helping you, 4 or 5 people that you're going to try to feed, that you're going to feed every single day. Yeah. And then, on top of that, people are going to need places to stay. So getting hotels for, hopefully under 20-ish days, getting hotels and just miscellaneous, this is, I think when we ran the numbers, we're looking around $30,000 to just make 850 miles happen.
Yeah. Once we get off, I'll get your number or have the email and stuff. I'll hook you up with multiple, and we can figure out how to do that. And if I'm able to make it out there, I will, dude. So,
absolutely,
man, your time is greatly appreciated. I think a lot of people can learn from this, and a lot of people can look up to you and see that passion and that growth and that trajectory, most importantly. So, I appreciate the time more than you know. And where can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, it's at Matt Johnson with 2 underscores.
Yes, sir.
Simple.
Breaking the mold.
Man, that's the same Instagram. That's my Instagram I made in 2011.
Yes, sir.
I never made a fitness account. Like everything that I'm posting is just it's just who I am. It's just me.
Yep. It's raw, dude. It's raw. And that's what I think that's why it's popping off, man. So we'll chat after this, and everybody go check out your boy. And that is episode number 1. Peace.
Hey team, let's talk about leveling up your coaching and fitness game. Imagine if you had a tech sidekick that was like the Swiss Army knife of training tools. Well, guess what? TeamBuildr is that sidekick, and it's like having the Einstein of software and the Michael Jordan of support staff all rolled into one. I've been in the TeamBuildr locker room for nearly a decade, and let me tell you, they have a PhD in athletes and customer service. Whether you're a coach or a fitness enthusiast, TeamBuildr is your ticket to the big leagues. So sprint, don't jog, over to teambuildr.com and slam dunk that code NLT at checkout for a discount that's sweeter than a victory lap. We thank TeamBuildr for being a premium sponsor of Next Level Radio. Once I hit 30, I decided it was time to take a look under the hood and start optimizing my health and performance. Being a hybrid athlete can take a toll on the body, and health optimization is of utmost importance. From personal experience having debilitating back pain, not being able to train or run, to being in the thick of marathon training, Dakota Stem Cell Institute saved my life. Centrally located in Rapid City, South Dakota, you can get advanced functional medicine close to home. Contact Dr. Pierce at 605-342-8348, and we thank you for being a sponsor of Next Level Radio.